I'm just talking. Ain't nobody hearing me. I said, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? It is
Morning,
Monday
Mikey.
morning.
Good morning.
You
I
all
didn't
have
hear
a
you.
good day.
Good morning.
I told Michelle we're not going to the hospital again this week, and she said, okay.
Good morning, everybody. I still haven't tried to put makeup on this, but I'm too scared. Probably tomorrow.
I don't know if everyone knows what happened. Oh, I see it now.
See,
Oh,
she was talking back to me, and that's what happened.
Dad.
No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
I don't think so.
I'm just kidding. Y'all know me. She was talking. I was talking back to her. No, anyway.
no.
Fill us in, Michelle. Tell us what happened to you.
Well, we were discharged from the hospital on June 30th or something. And as soon as I walked in the house, I went straight to the bedroom and passed out before I hit the bed. I literally passed out. My blood pressure dropped. I don't remember it. I fell on the floor, hit the carpet. I had a huge black eye and a big old carpet burn. So, needless to say, we went back to the ER the next morning and was there 7 more days trying to figure out why my blood pressure is not regulating. So they had me on more medication. Yay!
She's one of the few people I know that have medicine to raise her blood pressure. I thought living with me was enough, but I guess not.
That's never been a problem. If you've known me your whole life, my blood pressure is pretty normal and a little on the high side. So, but anyway, I've never taken any kind of blood pressure medication, but
That's the cause of the black eye. But hey, it looks pretty good today. So
yeah, it's getting better. It's going to get green and purple and a lot of other colors, but
just add makeup on the other side to make it balance.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend and week last week, and none of y'all fell or fainted as well. Sorry, were you going to say something? I cut you off. Okay.
Nope, that's good.
Well, this week we're headed, I don't know why I'm red. I guess the light in here must be weird, but we're headed to Dallas Wednesday morning for SummerSlam. We're excited to see you guys who are able to make it. We're excited to see you guys out there. And it's going to be some good training. We just got word that there's more carriers coming this time than I think ever to one of the events that we've put on. So that's an exciting thing. That just means that there's going to be more opportunity to get in front of more carriers, which is always a good relationship to build if you're going to write business. It does pay to have these people have your back. So, and you definitely need to make a friend before you need a friend in that department. They're a lot more willing to work quickly if they know you rather than, being somebody who's just sending an email asking, hey, will you help me? So that's a really important thing, just in and of itself, a good reason to be there. If you still haven't committed, you can still go. You can still commit today. There's no reason you can't. So, but we're excited to see you guys that are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going on this Wednesday. Anything, I know we kind of said we were going to do a round table. Anybody have anything that's on your mind or heart that you either had a question about or just wanted to say, hey, here's what happened with my week, or maybe you have a specific, case question. It's round table. So you guys are able to kind of speak up and say what's on your heart today.
Well, I'm having a lot of fun getting policies pushed through. Sometimes you have different forms that are needed, and we're just seeing more and more of that. And so just watching your emails is very important, and I like to call the carriers early in the morning, especially not on Mondays, but every other day of the week is the best time to reach them to get stuff done.
Pushing stuff through, you mean cases you've had impending?
Cases you've had impending, whether they may need a paramed, whether they may need a document signed. I had one customer that called me this past weekend. He has 7 policies, and all of them they need to change their bank accounts on. I'm like, that's going to be a Monday thing. Helping them do that kind of stuff. That's what's going on with me. What kind of questions do y'all have?
I know Serena last week had a good week. I'm not sure if you guys got those apps submitted yet, but the deal was sold. So, and I kind of know there was a backstory to that client. It's a really cool story, Serena. If you've submitted it this week and you want to hold off on the story for the sales meeting, are we having sales meeting tomorrow since it's SummerSlam?
Think so.
Um,
SummerSlam's not the Wednesday.
True.
I'll ask.
Anyway, if you want to share that story, Serena, it was a cool story about how this was somebody who didn't even want to talk, but you kind of turned the story around and helped her realize the problem that she had, and then how you had a solution.
I'm sorry. I was just like Jonathan and talking and nobody could hear me.
You're good.
Receiving it telepathically.
So are you talking about the business that we did with Chris Norris?
Yeah. So I think I remember you telling me the story about how this lady, like, she didn't even want to talk, right? And she was like, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Because
at first she didn't want to do anything with her money. She had retired, and we talked about moving her 401k, and she's like, no, you know what? I'm good there. I just want to get my Medicare going. And so I was like, okay. So we started talking a little bit more about her Medicare, and, I asked her again about her 401k, and she just wanted to leave it put and right where it was at. Well, then she called me and said, okay, I had this much in here. She's like, and I looked, and it was like a difference of $20,000 that she had lost in her 401k. So she was really hurt and really upset about it. And she was like, I don't know what to do. She's like, you asked me about it. She goes, but is there anything out there where people aren't losing money? I said, well, that's what I was trying to explain to you, but you were just very adamant. So, we ended up working with Chris Norris at Burlington. And right now, the applications have all been submitted. We're just waiting on the green light. We spoke with Chris yesterday or Friday. And so she's really happy because, she's like, well, how do people not know about this? She's like, I was just told, go to your 401k, and either the only question she was ever asked was, do you want to be aggressive or not aggressive? And then all of a sudden everybody goes to Vanguard. She's like, that's the extent that everybody that I know, and everybody kept telling her, you don't want to do an annuity. You don't want to do an annuity. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. Leave it in your 401k. So even before she signed on the dotted line, she called me with her concerns from her friends. And I said, well, let me ask you this. I said, why is it that they're telling you not to? She's like, well, I asked all of them and nobody said why. They just said, don't do it. And I said, well, that's because they're not educated. I said, but everyone's okay with your money sitting there in a 401k with right now there was no match. I said, and losing money, or they're okay with you taking that money out, and they kept telling you, put it in the bank so that you can get what? 0.01% interest. I said, everybody's okay with you doing that, but they're not okay with you moving it where you're not going to lose and you're going to get a higher interest rate. I go, why don't you explain to me the rationale between that? And she was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I called you. So
that's
Michelle,
good.
yeah, Michelle's been really helpful with that one too. So I'm really glad that she she was able to kind of explain a lot of that. She's been on the calls with me with my client. And now doing that, we have 2 final expenses that we want to write with her. She doesn't want to use this money to just, she's like, I need to use this money. I said, okay, well, are you using it to bury yourself someday? Or are you going to let your kids do that? She's like, no, I want my money to go to my kids. So we're doing a final expense for her, a final expense for her ex. And because they're still really good friends because of property and having to split that up for the kids and stuff like that. And then she lost a son 2 years ago, and he has 2 kids. And so she wants us to do 2 IULs for both the kids. So that's what I'm working on right now.
That's fantastic, Serena. How much was the annuity?
It was 84,000, I think.
That's fabulous. I was talking to a lady, one of my customers this weekend too, and she had like 55,000 and it's down to 45. So we're talking this morning about moving hers over and getting Chris Norris on the phone. So that's a great, and I love how you're just expanding into that one family and you're writing 6, 7, maybe more, 8 policies. That's the way you really do it.
Yeah. And she didn't know, she had mentioned, she had mentioned her son that she had lost 2 years ago. And, and I said, how are the kids doing? And then that's what I asked her. I said, I don't know what kind of legacy he left behind. I said, but, she's like, oh, I'm going to have to try to figure out some money. Well, come to find out, she has another 80,000 just sitting in the bank.
From life insurance.
Anything for her, not working for her. So, we mentioned that to Chris, and Chris is going to be taking a chunk of that and putting it somewhere for her too.
Yeah, that's amazing. You gotta
dig in.
Yeah, you gotta dig in, and then you also have to resell. Like she talked to people that didn't have the knowledge and didn't have the education, and then she got scared. And you know what? That's amazing that she called you. And that they normally do, right? To have that conversation. And you were able to kind of and not just by selling her, but by asking her questions on why do you think they were telling you that? Mm-hmm. And having her recognize that she had the problem, that she had the issue, that she had to solve, and that her friends couldn't do that for her. And her friends were actually just telling her to go down a path that was still status quo and wasn't going to get her further ahead. And you helped her realize that. So that's
she's going to go back to these friends and tell them, you say not to get an annuity, but if you don't know how it works, here's what I'm doing, and you need to call Serena and get more information. So
yeah. And FYI, like a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth when they hear annuity, mostly because they think of variable annuity. Right. That's where that comes from. If you didn't know that, that's where that fear comes from. Is there used to be people who sold just a bunch of variable annuities 10, 15, 20 years ago, and those were bad. Why? Because you had the option to go up and down, but you were still locked in. So up and down in the market, with the products that we help people with, like Serena was saying, they don't go down, like guaranteed no loss. That's what people are like begging for right now. Nobody can really afford much more bleeding with their retirement money. And they know that. They just need somebody to help, like Serena did, help them see that they have an issue, and then help them understand how you can help them solve it.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Very, very wonderful.
And by the way, we do have confirmation. Sales meeting is happening tomorrow.
Okay. So in Transmittals,
SummerSlam.
So that probably means, Serena, that I know you'll probably be working, but that probably means that you'll be in the top 5 tomorrow, maybe, if there's, because that's 8,000. When you submit an annuity, the annuity is worth 10% credit towards the business that was submitted this week. So 8,000 would be credited towards what you submitted this week. And so as long as there's not more than 5 people who did over 8,000, you have potential to be in the top 5 tomorrow.
You probably will be, Serena.
Yeah, he probably will be.
That's great. We love
Do what I used to do: sneak into the bathroom during the call and just be there for a little while.
it.
Yeah, I don't know any of those stories, man. I used to take a break and I'd go drive around the corner for a second to be on the calls. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a conversation with a gentleman this past week who, I'm just having a lot of conversations with people who are, and I'm sure you guys are too, that are wanting to protect their money. People are in this mindset of protect. They need something stable. You know, I had a guy that I had a conversation with that wanted like a tax-free retirement plan. And currently he's active trading on his own. He's up about 285%. Is what he was telling me. I'm like, well, nobody can do that for you. You know what I mean? Nobody can get those kind of returns. And he's like, oh, I know. He's like, but the problem is that I could lose it all tomorrow. So he knew that, right? Which was good. He already had that he already knew that could happen. But what he's trying to figure out now is, how do I create a safe play within my play that I'm doing over here too? And so I just say this because like people are thinking about this right now very heavily. And it's just a good time to have the conversations and to be the person that they know can help them. With that, life insurance, annuities, cancer plans, Medicare, the whole nine, y'all, the whole nine.
Well, I mean, I don't have, because I was in the hospital, I don't have all these things signed, but I wrote 4 IULs last week. Just got to get them all done. 3 kids, 1 parent, and 3 more term applications and a cancer plan. You know, it's just keep talking to people, keep finding ways to help them, keep letting them know other products that we help people with, whether it's cancer, heart, stroke, you know, mortgage term policy, or just, you know, a retirement plan. People love it when you can educate them a little bit. You don't want to talk over their head. You just want to educate them a little bit, just like what Serena did, just, you know, get them interested and then get them to look at their statement and get them to tell you how much they've lost and ask them, you know, can you afford to continue to lose money? Do you know how much money you have to gain to get back to that 100,000? You're going to have to gain 40%, you know, you lost 20%. So.
Right.
It's exciting stuff. It really is. I'm really passionate about what I do. I know I don't sit here week after week and talk to y'all because I've been so sick. I am feeling better, and it really is a passion that we have to help people and serve people. And you really just have to be able to get into that home. You have to go knock on their door. You have to be that person who cares more about them than they care about themselves. And when you turn into that person, they know it right away, and they're going to let you in that house, even if it's a lead. Because people can't be cruel. People are hard to be cruel when you're sitting at their door.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait till I get to go back out in the field. Personally.
Any other thoughts, stories, anything on anybody's heart? Anybody? This is your time to speak up if you'd like. If not, that's
Yeah, I
okay.
just wanted to talk about the fact of marketing yourself, and the fact that I've been in IT for a long time and haven't had to even carry a card around because people know me where I'm at because I've worked in those circles. And I had a conversation with Michelle. It was a while back, maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, and she was getting cards done. And I told her, I don't carry any cards, and she was getting cards done. She showed me her cards. And I have cards, but I just don't carry them. And I've been helping my sister out. She's been in the hospital, and I can't tell you how many times I'm kicking myself right now because I don't have my cards with me. And Michelle Slice is 100% correct. You need to have cards on you. So just a little tip there. I've had conversations I just did Saturday about the same conversation that Serena had with her client. And so talk about writing on a piece of paper and handing paper back and forth to people because they don't have a card. I mean,
Yeah, another,
Grab
sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
grab their number, have them put it in your phone, and tell them you'll follow up with them. That's what I do. But I do have cards in the hospital, and I have customers in the hospital. Nurse.
But if you don't, another good way is just say, hey, I'll follow up with you on this in a few days. Let me send you my contact. What's your number? So that you can have just like, if you have an iPhone if you have an iPhone, I don't know what it is, if you have an Android, but on my phone, I have a contact for myself. I've probably sent it to all of you. Hold on. There we go. That looks like this. It says Megan Alleman. So people know that that's my maiden name. That's what's on my insurance license. But I also say that Yakey is my married name, saying that I really am. And then in parentheses, it just says your insurance lady. And then it has my my numbers, my cell phone, my fax, and my work line. So I just go to the bottom of that screen, and there's a button that says share contact. You click that and you can send it directly to whomever. So then you go to the text message and say, hey, what's your number? I'll send you my contact. That way they have your contact, they can save it easily, and now you have their number so you can follow up. And then you can also give them your card. But if you're just passing only cards, you have the control to give them a call and follow up if you have their number too. So yeah, both of them work.
Yeah, I did have one lady who she asked me for a business card, and I didn't have any on, and I didn't even have my phone on. She had passed me walking by a hospital, and she knew that I had helped somebody in her family. So I just gave her a card real quick because I was holding on to two of them in my purse. So I gave them to her, and I was like, oh man, I left my phone in the car, and I didn't have anything to write with. And, she said, well, I'm retiring, and she just wanted some information. And she called me. It was Wednesday. I met with her. She said, she goes, I held onto your card for 3 years. She goes, wow. It's refrigerator. She goes, people play with magnets. People do everything. They've moved my refrigerator and I said, do not lose that card. And here she called me 3 years later. I went and met with her. She retired. So I signed her up for Medicare. Her husband came upstairs and said, oh, good. He goes, I was going to call you because I'm turning 65 in September. And their nephew came over, who I said, hey, the last time I talked to you, you're looking for a job. Did you get that job that you were looking for? He said, no, I work for Amazon. He's in their IT department, but not their support, like the background, like all the coding. And he currently lives at home with his family. So I said, now's the time to be putting a good chunk of money aside since you're not paying for housing. And so I started talking to him about IULs. And so that's something that we're working on this week because he said he was definitely interested in doing that. He's 23 years old and lives with mom and dad and makes more money than they do. So he wants to put some money aside.
Yes.
But that was something I held on to my card for 3 years.
That's amazing. Magnetic cards are fabulous. One of the questions I always ask people as I'm going through the presentation, is, do you feel like you should be putting at least 10% of your money down and save in your retirement? And every single one of them say yes. And then when I go to their income and find out they're making like $176,000 a year, and then they can't afford $1,000 a month, I'm thinking, but you got to work people up to it. You know, you got to show them the numbers. 1,000 a month, 500 a month, 250 a month.
Well, and that story, Serena, too, is just like, that's perseverance. That's that doesn't happen if you get into the industry and then quit, right? Like those types of stories don't happen if you get in for 6 months and then realize, like, some business just comes just from staying in the business sometimes.
Yes.
And by serving people well, like they remembered you because because you helped a family member. That just shows that you were a great agent with that family member, and they remembered that. And that's, people don't remember really what you say. They just remember how you made them feel. And that's a testament to the service that you gave them originally. And then also passing out the card that stayed in front of them. So yeah, that's awesome. And that's another reason, like, just to give you all an insight as to like what we do too with our current book of business is, and if you're not doing this with your current book, I mean, everybody can do it, but we send out birthday texts, birthday cards, annual current client, annual review cards, just to stay in front of people. Because if they don't know that you're the one who can help them, then they just don't know. Like what Sherry was talking about, you got to market yourself. And we're not always asking for business, but when people think about insurance, you want them to think Sherry. You want them to think Jeff. You want them to think Beverly. You want them to think Michelle. You want them to think Serena, Katie, Jonathan. Like, you want them to think you. Even if you maybe can't even help them, you want them to think you so they call you, right? But most of the time we can't. So that's huge. Jonathan, you look like you want to say something.
I was just seeing who was on the call.
Okay.
But I will say something about playing the whole game in the business too. So whether you're working leads, referrals, I mean, you can get clients from anywhere, but leads specifically, sometimes you do have to go by people's house, even if they requested it on the internet. Sometimes you have to be willing to do that because it's part of the whole game that we play. And I booked like 7 or 8 appointments for today, going by 14 leads Saturday. So I just want to encourage you in that, like, just play the whole game. Focus on, have activity goals. This has been my experience. Okay. I'm not saying that someone else may have had a different one, but my experience is when I focus on activity goals, my results always take care of themselves. When I have result goals, I get a lot more frustrated because I'm trying to hit a result and I'm not trying to necessarily just actually help someone and focus on the action part. That makes any sense? Because there's plenty of people that can help you get the result done, right? Like Serena with Chris and whoever's been helping her. Like, you should be asking for help getting the detailed stuff done so that you can connect with people and figure out what their solution is. That makes sense. So anyways, that's what I got.
That's good. When they don't answer, knock on the door. Real quick before we jump off, Jonathan, we have 1 minute left, but do you want to tell people what you say when you go to the door with a lead in hand? Since you booked 7 appointments, that's a 7 out of 14. You booked half. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, and then I got a lot of no's though too, but that means I resolved it, right? Like, getting a no is fine. You resolved a request that wouldn't have otherwise been resolved if you just kept calling. But just say, hey Megan, how you doing? My name is Jonathan. Hey, I stopped by because I haven't been able to reach you on the phone. The phone number you wrote down here. We got this request from you. Does this look familiar? I just hand it to him. If it's an internet lead, I just refer to their email. Say you're just on one of our websites, looks like you're just looking for some information. Sometimes I'll say quote because a lot of people if they're putting in an online request, they do just want to quote, or they're looking for someone they can trust to actually move forward because they've been getting quotes for a year. One lady said that. She's like, I've been looking for this for a year. I'm like, why haven't you done anything? I just don't trust anybody. I'm like, all right, well, what do you need to trust someone? A lot of it's just getting on the same page with people, but that's all I'll say. Hey, Megan, my name's Jonathan. How you doing? Smile. Like, I stopped by because I couldn't reach you on the number you put down here. And then just say this, you had sent this in to us. I need to go over the info with you. And if it's a direct mail lead and they're like, well, I didn't fill that out, I'll be like, come on, Megan. That's your chicken scratch right there. Or it could be your husband's or, your kids. And they're like, well, I guess you're right. Somebody's handwriting in this house. But if it's internet, you have an email to refer to. So, yeah, that's basically it. I've also done it hundreds of times. So it's kind of just natural. But just be yourself. So.
All right. Well, thank you. It's 8:01, so we will jump off. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the sales call. Remember that transmittals are due this evening, and then Wednesday afternoon. Look forward to seeing you guys in person at the Top Golf in Dallas. You'll have a great week. See you all soon.